This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Teofimo Lopez SR here in Las Vegas. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's an honor to have me here. For all the fans out in Europe, right? And I just gotta let everybody know the fight is on November 27th. I want everybody to watch it, and it's gonna be exciting. If you can make it to the Madison Square Garden, it will be even better. That's what we do, entertain.
You mentioned entertain. Throughout today, Teofimo has mentioned he wants to stop George in the first round. He's confident he will too. So in my interview, he said it might only last 10 seconds. Is that the type of statement you expect your son to send out on November 27th?
Listen, we don't go out there to knock nobody out, but if my son's saying it is because he has, this is a little bit personal, and I feel bad for this guy because my son is a monster, and he's just gonna put it on him in the first round. Let's see if he will holds that, but I don't see the fight lasting too long.
How would you assess kind of a relationship between your son and George? Would you say there's a bad blood relationship between them?
Yes, it's really bad because, he disrespected our family. I wasn't there, thank God, at the hotel the day that the fight was canceled because my son had COVID. And I don't know what went through there, but all I know, there was some remarks said about, don't get close to me, you guys got COVID, stuff like that. And my son didn't take that lightly. So, come November 27th, the whole world's going to see what my son is made out of.
Your son's always very calm, very collected, very chilled whenever I speak to him, very happy. But whenever you see kind of George's name mentioned, there's almost like a switch in his head. Do you see that yourself, especially throughout training camp?
Yeah, but I like it because this is real boxing, We don't want to go in there too friendly, into a fight. After the war, it could be peaceful, but between the war and because everybody's out there to take my son's head away and hurt him in ways that, I never did as a parent, because I never hit my sons or my kids. And I wouldn't, I like what I'm seeing because this is what the fans want to see. The fans want to see war. We're bringing old school back. We're trying to fight the best fighters out there. We took this fight because it was mandatory. My son did not want to lose the IBF title. So, let's see what Kambosos is going to come to give us in the, at the plate. So let's see what he could come and do, at that night. I don't see him doing anything. I see him coming in and my son knocking him out within the first and third round. And I believe he could go in the first.
It's been a prolonged situation between your son and you guys, and obviously George and his team for this fight to finally take place, obviously through situations out of your own control. But how much do you feel yourselves and your team have learned about kind of the boxing industry in this past year?
Listen, there's levels to this, you know what I'm saying? George Kambosos has never faced the fighters that we have faced. We fought real champions at 135. And I believe that we beat the pound for pound king, which was Lomachenko, and he's not half the man that Lomachenko was. So I don't know what this guy is talking. I don't know why he's barking so much. He just put this on himself, and I hope nobody gets hurt in the fight. But I believe that's something I cannot stop, and it's only going to be him at the end of the day with my son in that ring. So let's see what he does. I see him getting knocked out. I see him getting in a concussion, and I might even see him going to the hospital, because my son is going to hit him with everything he got. Let's see what he's going to do about that. He's talked a lot of smack. Let's see if he could back it up.
There's a lot of excitement about potential fights, involving your son, from fighters who could move up from super feather, or obviously Josh Taylor up at 140. With all kind of everything that's going on, how have you guys kind of handled just trying to stay and focus, have a task at hand, and not getting carried away with what could be around the corner, provided November 27th goes to plan?
Like I said, there's levels to this. We always, one thing about me and my son, we always challenge ourselves. For the biggest opportunity. We're going to be ready when we fight Josh Taylor, and he knows it. We're fighting elite fighters. We are the only ones at 135 that are relevant at a weight division because we fought the best to be the best. So we're climbing up. We're taking it over. That's why they call us the takeover, because that's exactly what we're doing. And if I'm predicting that my son is going to destroy Josh Taylor at 140, it's going to happen. You know, Josh Taylor got a fight coming up. I just hope he could beat this guy. I heard he's fighting a nobody, you know, but you never know with his injuries and stuff like that. But, you know, I want him to win. I don't want no vacant titles. I don't want him moving to 147. I want to beat the champ at that weight division. I don't want people saying that we took all the belts with a vacant title. I want to beat the champion. I want Josh Taylor. That's the guy that we want. You know, so please, Josh Taylor, don't back off this fight. We don't got no unsettled business at the 135 weight division. Come November 27, the fight is going to be announced as the undisputed world champion of the world. So, you know, stop it with your crack and your bullshit. Let's make this happen, and it's going to happen in June or July, you know, and it's perfect. It's a perfect fight for everybody, and we could do it in Europe. We're not scared to fly anywhere, you know, because it's going to be the same outcome. My son is going to knock you out.
Now, there's a couple of things I want to pick up on there. Firstly, Josh Taylor, I've actually seen he's on a flight over to Las Vegas currently. So do you expect to maybe run into each other, and obviously with your son, at some point in the coming weeks?
Well, I don't really care where he's going to be at. I mean, what matters is what we're going to do in the ring. You know, it doesn't matter what we're going to do outside. At the end of the day, it's only going to be him and my son in the ring, and the better man's going to win. And I know that's my son. You know, he's going to come. He's going to come, and he's going to do what he always does. And that's entertain and knock people out.
And you mentioned summertime for that fight to potentially take place if a deal could be agreed. Obviously, I was at the Mikey Garcia-Sandor Martin fight when yourself, your son, and Bill Haney and Devin Haney had your altercation ringside, and you spoke to Eddie after, and Eddie was saying there's no excuse for Devin and obviously Teofimo Jr. to face off sometime next year. Is that a fight which you think could happen still?
Listen, man, I already talked to Mauricio Suleiman because I wasn't even thinking about this kid, Devin Haney, because he has nothing that we want. He has a regular belt, but I got pissed off because of his big mouth, and I want to show the whole world that we ain't scared of nobody. And I called Mauricio Suleiman. I said, what would it take to make this fight a mandatory? Mauricio Suleiman says we could make a petition, and the Devin Haney's got to sign it, and that's all it takes. What's going on? They haven't signed the contract yet. You know, they haven't signed the petition yet, so what are they waiting for? You know, they open their mouth, but there's no action about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is more for clout. I think this is more the hype of the fight with him and Jojo Diaz, and I'm sick and tired of hyping up fights. If he's ready, if he's willing to fight my son in February, sign the petition already. We're here, we're ready to fight. We could do it in February. You know, it'll be like a tune-up fight before we fight Josh Taylor.
So hand on your heart, Senior, do you believe that your son and Devin could face each other next or not?
Well, listen, I mean, they have it easy. All they got to do is sign, and we could make, you know, we could make the fight happen. Eddie Hearn says that it could happen, so let's see it, and we could make it happen in February, because this fight with George Kambosos is going to be fast. It's going to be easy.
So the ideal plan listening to you then, George Kambosos on the 27th, Devin in February on similar date to when Josh Taylor fights Jack Catterall, I imagine, and then he lines up for your son and Josh Taylor to potentially face each other in the summer.
Yeah, remember, we have an agreement with Top Rank and ESPN where we get 2 pay-per-view fights a year and 1 ESPN fight. So, you know, it'll be a mega big fight with Josh Taylor and my son. And you know, we're not here to waste time, man. We're here to fight, and we shown it. My son is the youngest and the one with the less fights to be 4-time world champion. We did it in only 16 fights. So, you know, we're here to, you know, how we're gonna stop now? We got to this point. There's no reason for us to stop. You know, nobody wants to fight us. No regular champion wants to fight us. So we got to go for the big dogs. And to my knowledge, the big dog is Josh Taylor right now.
Vasyl Lomachenko, I've heard his name mentioned today, and I wanted to put it to you, and I put it to your son earlier. Is it a surprise to you that the other kind of leading lightweights haven't really called for a fight with Vasyl Lomachenko since your son defeated him?
Are you talking about my son fighting Lomachenko?
No, has it been a surprise that some of the other lightweights haven't called for a fight to face Lomachenko themselves?
But that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You know, right before we beat Lomachenko, after we beat him, I told everybody that Lomachenko was the best fighter at the 135 weight division, and that he was not going to be challenged. And that's exactly what's happening. Who he's fighting? He's fighting the dogs like Nakatani and Comey, because those guys don't care who they fight. They're real champions, and they want to be great. What happened to the Devin Haney's? What happened to the Shakur Stevensons? To the Ryan Garcias? To the Tanks? Nobody's calling out Lomachenko because they know they're not going to be able to break that matrix. It took me only 2 months to break the matrix. We stopped them going into those angles, and we're the only ones that know how to do that. And out of the 400 amateur fights that they had, and all the trainers that have been training fighters, that's why they got me as trainer of the year, and they got my son as fighter of the year in 2020, because of the way we beat Lomachenko. Nobody expected that. We were the underdogs. We were 4-1 in the underdogs, and we made it happen. So that's why we want Josh Taylor next. We don't want to go backwards and fight Lomachenko again. Why? We already proved to the world we won unanimous. It wasn't a split decision. It wasn't a tie. It was unanimous. So why would we want to fight a guy that doesn't have anything that we want? Fight a guy that told us that we had to get something to fight him. Fight a guy that if we would have lost that night, he would have never fought us again. He would have never gave us the rematch. So no, we're not fighting Lomachenko, and I don't care who wants us to fight Lomachenko. If he wants to come up to 140 and after Josh Taylor, we'll fight him, and we'll do it just for money.
Just 3 fights I want to get your thoughts on before I let you go. We've mentioned Devin Haney. His fight with Jojo Diaz has been announced now. What are your thoughts? What's your take?
On Jojo Diaz and Devin Haney, I see that Devin Haney always likes to pick on the little guys, just like Ryan Garcia. To me, Jojo Diaz is a 126-pounder. He had one fight at 135 with Fortuna. That does not make him a 135-pounder. And I think that he's just taking advantage of this guy. And, but you could never know. It could be a surprise. And I think that Jojo Diaz has a chance to beat him.
Tank and Isaac Cruz has been announced now with Rolly Romero fight being pulled. Just want to get your thoughts again on Tank versus Cruz.
I think that's a really disgusting situation that's happening. I think that Rolly should have never they should have never canceled the fight for Rolly, or took him out of the fight because of some allegations that nobody knows if they're true. I mean, we live in a free country where you're not guilty until proven guilty, and I think that would have taken a couple of months to be verified, or maybe years. So I think that fight should have happened. I think to me is something that maybe they didn't want it to happen because it was a dangerous fight. Rolly hits with both his hands, and I think it was a dangerous fight for Tank. Now he's fighting on somebody that nobody even knows about. So I really don't like that fight, and you already know Tank is going to win that fight.
Final one, Canelo-Plant this weekend. What are your thoughts? What goes down?
I make it simple. I think that there's nobody out there in that weight division that could hurt Canelo, and I think Canelo is just gonna eat him up in the 7th or 8th round. Unless Canelo-Plant, boxes him the whole 12 pounds without him letting Lomachenko get inside his body. But Lomachenko's been doing this for
Lomachenko, Canelo.
Canelo's been doing this for so long, and I don't see him not stopping him in the 7th or 8th round.
Senior, it's a pleasure to catch up with you as always. Enjoy what's left of today, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social. Yeah,
and I got a surprise Canelo night, with my son, and we got invited, so don't miss it. It's going to be a great fight, and it's going to be a lot of surprises.